Now we move on to a view from the political institutions in Europe. Europe, as many other countries or continents, is moving for a digital agenda. So policies which are oriented towards the introduction and the exploitation of the technologies that we are celebrating here today. And we have Constantijn Van Oranje here to talk about that. So the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, turned it off.
You had it right the first time.
First of all, I would like to apologize for Ms. Kroes, who wanted to be here, but she was called away to a ministerial meeting in Vilnius. So it's the other side of Europe, but she's with us today, and she greets you and asked me to present in her name. And as I was sitting in the back listening to the presentations this morning about creativity and seeing so much creativity, it did make me muse about what creativity means in policy making, because I sometimes get the feeling that all our processes are designed in such ways that any creativity gets killed in the process, and we don't really want people to be too creative when they sit in seats of power. But then I thought that probably we have to have the creativity to actually move around or through the processes that kill creativity to come up with at least some outcomes that can defy the incumbent interests and maybe induce some change. And thank you, Vint, for giving me putting some words in our mouths. They're too young to know that you cannot do that. That's something that that would apply to Neelie too, but she's not so young. She's actually 72 and dealing with a topic that is highly dynamic and always changing the economy, changing our society. So maybe you should add to that. Some people are old enough to know that you should always try. Now I'd like to deliver Neelie's speech. Today we're here to celebrate Martin Cooper and his achievements. The mobile has transformed our lives. But with many innovations on the horizon, that transformation is certainly not over. And I want to reflect on that and how and the actions. So Europe plays its part on that, and the actions that Europe can take to play part in that transformation. And I don't need to tell you how significant the mobile has been for our world. For hundreds of thousands of innovators, sometimes no more than teenagers, making a living from mobile apps and games. To people in Nairobi slums using mobile banking to send and receive money. Its ability to both stimulate innovation and enable and empower people, that is unprecedented. Martin's big idea set off an avalanche. It was the first in a sequence of ever slicker, more sophisticated devices, gadgets, and services. And I remember a picture at Rand Corporation of 1953 where there was a scientist in a room full of equipment, and he said one day in 50 years, so 2003, all of this will actually fit in someone's home. And he didn't know that it would fit in your pocket. Today's smartphones are the grandchildren of Martin Cooper. And I'm going to be a bit chauvinist now for a minute to talk about what this means for Europe. Because often when it comes to today's digital innovation, we look somewhere else. These days, the queues outside the store are for a new gadget that almost certainly is designed and manufactured outside of Europe. And the same often goes for the services, the software, and the social networks they use. Yet Martin's ideas remind us of a time in the 70s and the 80s when this wasn't the case, when Europe and America shared and built on each other's successes. His first ever cell phone call in New York in '73 was completed by countless European inventions in the field, like the GSM standard, text message, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. Martin Cooper took his place among the great names in telephony, many of them European: Marconi, Rice, and Bell. Companies like Bell and Motorola shined alongside Nokia, Ericsson, and Alcatel as global stars. So my question is, where are the Marconis and the Bells today? Where will the next Martin Cooper come from? Will it be Europe? And to policymakers, that question actually matters, not just for the innovation themselves, not just for the ICT sector in Europe, but for the entire European economy. Today, digital tools are the home of ever more innovation. Telecoms has transformed our lives, now even more so, from cloud computing to the Internet of Things, e-health, e-learning, smart cars, and smart cities. ICT is a technology that could soon underpin everything we do. ICT companies are among the biggest in the world, and they're ever more heavily scrutinized and commented on. This innovation shows no sign of slowing down. If anything, it is accelerating. Soon we could have not just computers and phones, but billions of objects connected and sharing through the Internet of Things. And so I hope the answer to my question is yes. I hope Europe can rejoin the world's digital leaders. And we certainly have the talent, and we see that obviously in this room today. Because every day my boss and I meet startups, entrepreneurs, and young talent and innovators across Europe. And seeing their dynamism and determination, then you realize Europe has the people and the energy to succeed. But those entrepreneurs need the right framework. It needs to be easier for them to scale up their business and develop their ideas. Because even when they start in Europe, they often don't stay in Europe. So it's less likely that the next big thing will be European, and we lose out on all the benefits to innovation and the creation of jobs. In a few weeks' time, the European Council, this is the gathering of the heads of government and state, will meet specifically to discuss the European digital economy. And the EU's 28 leaders and the Commission will discuss particular telecoms and online innovation. They will talk about how Europe can support that innovation and regain that strength and leadership. And I'd just like to take you through a few examples of things that we can actually do and we should be focusing on. First, we can invest in tomorrow's technologies and in the sectors that are significant for our economy and strategic for our innovation in the future. Let me give an example. And I give it because it might just be Martin's great-great-grandchild. It's the next generation of mobile technology, 5th generation or 5G. That's something that could give you sound quality as good as hi-fi, internet access everywhere at gigabit speeds, connection for all kinds of sensors and intelligent objects. Thanks to the Horizon 2020 research program, 1.2 billion euros of public and private research funds will be mobilized to put that 5G vision into reality by 2020. That's just one such strategic investment. And alongside that, the EU is looking at public-private partnership in a range of areas, from electronic components and systems that sit inside the latest devices to high-performance computing that can help us understand the human brain or build the cars of tomorrow. Second, we want innovation, and we need to support the innovators. With few entry barriers and no limits to creativity, the web is an amazing place for new ideas to develop and grow. But those entrepreneurs need the right environment to succeed. And there's a huge community out there of entrepreneurs in Europe that are willing to take up the challenge. And over a century ago, we discussed it already, a 20-year-old entrepreneur set off to London, accompanied by his mother, to seek support for his work. That young entrepreneur obviously was Marconi, and we are all glad that he succeeded in his tasks. And those audacious and talented young people are still around, and today we're meeting them regularly. My boss met one, a 14-year-old boy in Berlin, and she likes this anecdote because she tries to tell our leaders that, you know, you have to look for talent everywhere. And this boy was there with his father, And so she first started the conversation with the father, and he said, no, you don't talk to me, it's my son is the entrepreneur. And he had already started 2 companies, but he needed his father to sign his checks. And it's time to stop putting barriers in the ways of these entrepreneurs. And it's time for politicians to listen and recognize that this is a contribution that they're paying to our economies, and we should be supporting them. Why? Because they matter for our future, and it's also time to let them speak up. So this is actually what we tried to do by calling a group together of European leaders, we call the Leaders Club, and they have developed among themselves a startup manifesto. It's a call to action and includes many ideas of how to make Europe a better place for startups, a place to nurture our great talent. And many thousands have already signed up to it, and I hope that across Europe, policymakers and politicians will take the time to read it and act upon it. My third point is that all innovations need telecommunication networks. Broadband that is fast, reliable, and pervasive. And broadband boosts growth. We know that 10% points more penetration would be worth 100 billion euros in EU GDP. Yet, at the same moment, we're missing out. Today, European citizens are less connected than those in many parts of Asia, America, and even in Africa. And there's a huge opportunity for the European telecom sector to come up with new, innovative services that can underpin our future. I'm sad to say that Franco Bernabé is not going to be here today because he was supposed to talk about the creativity in the telecom sector. And it's true that we need that. We need to be more dynamic, and we need more investment in infrastructures. And we would like to have heard about his creativity, because the telecoms or situation in Europe is not one that would be characterized by creativity, where we're seeing most of the innovations coming through over-the-top players. But to be fair, the telecom sector in Europe also needs the right market and needs the right regulatory framework. Because as it stands, we don't have that market in Europe, and barriers constrain European telecom services, and the roaming charges are holding back citizens and businesses, and multiple spectrum systems are creating barricades for operators to roll out their services across borders. Today, telecom companies lack the skill to innovate and invest. And as I said, we are stuck in legacy models with the innovation happening mostly elsewhere. And our role as policy makers is to allow the change to happen and remove those barriers. And we'll help telecom companies to become European, to think global, to be digital, and to compete at the global level. This will give Europeans a chance of enjoying high-speed, innovative services for new broadband networks. And that is why the Commission has proposed measures to make Europe a connected continent, with the legal framework to ensure European growth, fairness, and leadership in broadband and ICT. Like Martin Cooper, we need to look ahead. That's the prism through which our proposals need to be assessed, not in relation to the comforts of the past, but to the opportunities of the future. The crisis is not an excuse to postpone the structural reforms we need, nor to stop investing in our economic competitiveness. On the contrary, we must dare to be bold. Connectivity and the flow of data are the new oil powering and enriching our economy. We cannot let vested and incumbent interests stop us from tapping that well. And that is why I hope that EU leaders dare to take a look forward and to capture those opportunities. And I hope that when they come together, this will not be a summit of fear, looking about the dangers of big data, but one of opportunities and the future of our economy. Martin Cooper had a great dream about the future of technology. Who could have thought the mobile would become anything other than an expensive elite novelty, or that the internet would change the world as we know it? Sometimes when you set out, you don't know exactly where you will end up, but you know that you're heading for somewhere good. And that journey that Martin made is highly relevant for us today as we contemplate the technological changes ahead. And only now are we seeing the true consequences and the true potential of that change? What the mobile, connected world means for our economy and society. But we are all immensely grateful that Martin and his colleagues had the courage and took the leap. In future, people will likewise look at the decisions Europe makes today, and they will ask, were they bold? Were they strategic? Did they anticipate or enable the future? Did they safeguard European success as a connected continent? I hope the answer will be yes.